The first book in the Malazan series, Gardens of the Moon. I went into this with pretty high expectations because everyone and their mother says it's a very good series and it might be a bit of a slog, but it's certainly worth getting through. And after picking it up, I could not agree more. Malazan starts off with a great first book. I'm very excited to get deeper into the series. Now, the reason it comes across so well is because this book is refreshing in almost every sense of the word for the fantasy genre. You have a setting that feels very different and you can't really relate to many other fantasy books. You have a tone that finds a balance between kind of a darker overall feel, but still has a lot of characters that come across with some lighthearted kind of funny moments. And there's just a humor throughout this book that is kind of subtle, but also delivered very directly, and I liked a lot. Now, the reason this book feels so different to me is because most fantasy books, they read like a big fat juicy steak. Like, they're delicious and you love them, but there's a lot of fat on there and sometimes it gets a little too much and you're wondering why you're reading what you're reading, and it's just like, can we get past this? Can I get back to the meat, please? There's none of that in Malazan. This is like a lean cut of chicken. It's just protein and there's nothing there that doesn't need to be there. I would even see it say it's well seasoned, because this book just handles itself and knows what it needs to say and deliver, and it just does. There's no fat to this, really. The stuff that could be considered fat really serves a purpose in either helping build the world or to develop a character or something like that. There's never a wasted moment. Unlike Wheel of Time, where you'll spend 3 chapters discussing whether or not a braid pull meant something or not, in this book, everything kind of has an absolute, immediate, direct implication. There's no real you waiting to know if something has an implication. You can, if you're smart, figure it out right away. Now, granted, I didn't every time. That's why I feel the need to go back and reread this book. There is a huge rereadability to this book. And I think that's even another high praise for this kickoff. Get on with it! A couple things that I found to be negatives for this series. But again, they're not big things at all. They're extreme nitpicks from me. For example, death claw assassins and things like that. Do you have the death murder guards? It's too goofy a name for me to take it seriously. Like, if I heard the death claw assassins were coming at me, I'd be like, oh, they're trying so hard. So stuff like that kind of bugged me, but that's personal preference stuff. It's not actually a negative against the book. When you find out the Empress's actual name, I've been waiting to make this joke for days now.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I would recommend this book. I can't recommend the series yet, but I would recommend this book to just about anybody, especially if you're kind of getting tired of the typical long dragging fantasy book, because while this is long and it drags in some ways, that those drags are needed. And I love a book that has an initiating mystery to really get things going. I think that kind of mystery helps propel characters and momentum, and this book does that wonderfully. Very excited to read the next few books in the Malazan series, because this has certainly piqued my interest. I will give it a chicken breast out of 10, and that is a well-earned chicken breast out of 10. Thank you guys for watching this video. I appreciate any and all likes and comments and all that to help me grow the channel, etc., etc. We have a great community here. I can't reiterate that enough. You guys are fantastic with the discussion in the comments, and I try to respond to most. I had a comment on my last video saying they unsubscribed because apparently I insulted white males. Again, I was not insulting white men in general. I'm just saying that many books have literally the exact same white dude in them. You may change the name, but it's the exact same shallow white guy character. And that's not an insult to white dudes. It's an insult to this white character. Just, it's the same guy. Read John Carter and then read like any other fantasy sci-fi book from that time period. And if you could swap out the main dude, and it would be the exact same story. Like in Lord of the Rings, if you changed out Frodo for Matt Cawthon from Wheel of Time, very different story. But back then, these guys all kind of fit a pattern, and that's just what I was saying. I wasn't trying to insult a race that I am a part of. I would even say I am a very typical example of, I hope it didn't come across that way. Please like and subscribe, all that stuff. People are fucking dumb. And have a great day. Peace.